everyone to join. Oh,
Sorry.
I should probably start over. It is April 11th, 2023. I'm John Reynolds, Chairman of the Sewer Commission, and this is the April 11th meeting of the Sewer Commission. And I'd like to ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Bill has a flag there. Okay. I'll start out. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God, indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
All right, great. Let's see. Going to do I guess I have to read my story, right? In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting of the Sewer Commission is being recorded and will be able to be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The following information is also provided for members of the public that would like to participate in the meeting remotely. To participate remotely from a computer, please use the link to join the public meeting webinar found on the posted agenda, or from a telephone, dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar ID 792-737-0353. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. Note, no participant ID is needed, just press pound when asked. I'm going to do a roll call vote to confirm that members are here. Brett Ramsden,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
Aye.
Mike Nault,
Present.
Mike DeVakis is not here, and I for myself. Staff, when I call your name, please answer. Bill Bernard.
Aye.
Okay. Paula Bertram
Here.
and Jane Rainley.
Here.
Okay. And yeah, I almost said Barb, but okay. And do we have someone from Il Forno for the first appointment?
We do.
Okay.
Carlene.
Okay. Okay.
Carlene, can you hear us? She's not on. Oh, she has no microphone. Carlene, can you call in? Using a phone?
Okay. Maybe she will attempt to do that. Her appointment is until 6:15
Yeah, okay.
anyway. So when we get to current business, unless anyone objects, I'm thinking maybe take things slightly out of order. Because there's a couple things we absolutely have to cover. One is the RFP. And I think need to have a little discussion about the intermunicipal agreement. I'd like to move the budget rate increase in capital planning towards the end prior to business manager's report. Paula, do you object to moving those around?
No, not at all.
Okay. I guess there's no reason why we can't start with the current business.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you may want to go back to public comment and then announcements.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. Any public comment from the public? Seeing none. Any public comment from the commissioners or any members of the staff?
Mr. Chair, if I could, I just want to thank everybody who came out to town caucus and running for a position. Thank you, Brett, for rerunning. That's great. We appreciate that very much. And thank you to all the volunteers who signed up for a position in town.
I want to, since we're taking a comment, thank Dave for running for sewer commissioner, and can't believe that he didn't win.
I won the sewer commission. I'm still here.
But
water
we
commission.
appreciate-
Yeah.
Water commission, excuse me. You know what I was talking about.
I thought you were trying to get rid of me.
Yeah. So I got sewer on my mind, Dave. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett.
anyways,
It was a
Thanks for
pleasure.
giving-
Thank you.
we appreciate your efforts.
Any other public comment? No? Wow, okay. Anyway, so I guess there's no reason why we can't go on to current business until 6:15, and hopefully Carleen will be able to call in. So the first item is the state earmark request. Paula, do you have any update on that?
I do. I wanted to let everybody know that the state earmark requests have been sent to the legislature. And our sewer pump station upgrades for $300,000 is on that list.
Okay. Do you know when the state makes up their mind how this money is going to be allocated?
I don't have a timeline. All I can tell you is that it was sent on March 22nd by the town manager. There are several requests. We are one of 4. I don't know if you'd like me to list the 4, but
Sure, I'd be interested to know.
sure. There are security upgrades for Turkey Hill Elementary School and the primary school. 160,000, 131,000, and 83,500 for 3 different projects. Marshall Park, they are looking for 250,000. The library for exterior painting is looking for $36,000, and then we are looking for $300,000 for sewer pump stations.
Okay, great.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes,
I just want to make it clear that that money is the aquifer money. Is that correct, Paula?
No, that is state earmarks. That is not
State
the ARPA-
earmarks,
That
okay.
is not the ARPA funding.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Yep.
okay. All right, the next item,
Carleen has her hand up. Hold on. Carleen, can you not letting me do a phone dial in? Okay.
can she just, would it be possible for her to call someone and put her on speakerphone? Would we be able to hear her that way? Like if she called one of us and was on,
Potentially, I can send her my phone number.
okay, if you don't mind.
Carleen, I'm gonna send you my phone number and hopefully you can call me and I can put it on speaker. Okay, I just sent it.
All right, while we're waiting for that, item 5 is the change and expansion of user fees. Paula, do you want to elaborate on that one?
Sure. So one of the things that hold on.
You got a phone call, Paula.
Hello, Carleen.
Yes, hi.
Hi, can everybody hear her?
I
can
heard her.
hear
Okay, Carleen, can you say something just so we can make sure you can be heard?
Hello, everybody.
Hello, can you hear us?
Hello.
Can you hear them okay?
Yeah, because I have them on my computer. I just
Okay,
don't have microphone or video on my computer.
okay, okay.
Okay. All right, and Carly, we'll be back to you. We have to wait until 6:15 to talk about your issue. So Paula,
Okay,
go ahead.
this mic is coming on.
Okay. Yeah, Paula, go ahead.
So what I determined is that we actually, one of our future agendas will be talking about a connection for an existing property that has a certain number of bedrooms now and then plans to expand in the future. And that triggered me to question, because our rates are based on the amount of flow that you're putting into the sewer system, and that's how we charge our connection fees. it triggered me to look into what the city of Leominster does when a property expands. And whenever a bedroom is added in the city of Leominster, there is a fee that is charged, and I sent that out, I believe, to everybody. There's a fee that's charged, and it's based on the number of bedrooms. And it's part of the building permit process. So they have to fill out a form, and then that fee is sent to the sewer commission. So I'd like to consider the sewer commission in implementing that. There is something in our regs that says that we can charge for expansion of use, but it calls it a privilege fee. So I actually have an appointment with town council on April 26th to talk about this, is to determine if we can charge that fee under that portion of our bylaw. So I wanted to get the commission's thoughts on it before I pursued it further.
Okay, any thoughts? I'll go in the order I have you on my screen here. Dave?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to look at that because that's how our fees are based on anyways, by bedroom. So
Right.
it's just really getting caught up with what's going on.
Right. Mike?
I agree. Good catch, Paula.
Brett?
I agree. My question though would be, is this a one-time fee? Is this a monthly, a yearly annual fee, or is it a one-time thing, Paula?
It would be a one-time connection fee because you're increasing flows, or, expansion fee. And then after that, we would charge, as we do everyone else, based on the flow that you put into the sewer system.
I
Okay,
think it's certainly worth checking out, and I'm definitely on board with it.
yeah, and I'm
Thank
in
you.
agreement with that also, but I think maybe before we take a vote on that, Paul, if you talk to town council, get his view and bring that back, and then we can figure out the best way to do it and take a vote at that time.
Absolutely.
Paula, thank you for picking up on that. That's really
Yes.
great.
No problem.
Okay, I guess we've got 2 more minutes. I don't really want to start another topic.
We are going to have feedback, Mr. Chair, because it'll be on speaker and you're all coming through my phone as well. So just
Okay, we'll give it a shot and hopefully it'll work.
maybe Carleen can mute her computer so we don't have our echo, but we'll see.
Okay.
Did everybody have a nice Easter? We
Yes.
have 2 minutes.
I did.
I did.
Mr. Chair, I think you can start a minute earlier here. I don't see anybody on the board coming in.
Okay. Sometimes I don't see everyone, so is that? I'm seeing Paula, Jane, Bill, and 4 commissioners and Carleen.
Mr.
Is
Chair,
there-
if you
yeah.
go down to your, hit your mouse and go down where it says participants. And then there should be 8 people there.
Yeah.
Hit that and it'll give you a list of people over on your right-hand side of your screen.
Yeah, I have 8. So,
No, but if you click that on, it'll give you the names of the people on the right-hand side.
all right. Well, actually, I have a new view here. I have pictures of everyone with your names. So, okay, I guess, Carleen, you have the floor.
Mike is supposed to be coming on, so I don't know where he is right now. He's trying to get on the computer. Can you hear me?
We
Yep,
can.
we can hear you. All right, well, I guess we can go on with our current business until Mike.
Yeah, they're trying at the restaurant to get on, so as soon as they get on, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right, next item is the RFP. Has everyone had a chance to review that?
I
Mr.
gotta
Chair,
look at it.
I skimmed through it, but I didn't, I was gonna look at it tomorrow. Coming back from vacation.
Okay. I think it's something we need to act on pretty quickly. And
I think we should talk about it. I mean, I'm pretty familiar since we wrote the last one, Mike and I. So I mean,
right.
I mean, I think we should talk about it. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with what the scope is. Mike, I think you are too, aren't you?
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
Mr. Chair, I can pull it up on the screen if you think that would be helpful.
Sure.
That'd be great.
But Mr. Chair, remember, we have them online. This could be a little lengthy discussion.
Okay, can everybody
I'm
see my
sorry, Dave,
screen?
Dave, could you repeat that?
yeah, I got it, Paula.
I just want to remind you that we do have Alfonso's on the line there. This could be a lengthy discussion, is what I'm saying.
Right, but I thought Carleen said she's waiting for Mike to connect.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought we could start this while we're waiting, unless anyone objects.
Carleen, do you know if they're able to get on yet? Okay. All right, can you just message me when he's on, just because I'm gonna be in this discussion and then I don't want to miss him. Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's see, the current one expires it's in the end of July, correct?
June 30th.
June 30th. Okay. Do you want to go through this?
He's here.
Okay. Connecting to audio. Okay. Okay, we have an image. Can you hear us, Mike?
Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I thought this meeting at 6:30, but I'm sorry. I'm just getting in right now.
Okay.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you
Okay,
fine.
Perfect.
So the floor is yours. Why don't you give us a summary of what you're hoping to do?
As far as the project or as far as the sewer situation?
I'm sorry, you're not coming in real clearly. Can you just
Okay.
repeat?
Are you talking, you want me to talk about what we're doing for the building outside or what we proposing
Yes.
to do? Okay, basically what we are doing is taking the tent out, or taking it down, and we're doing a building 30 by 50 structure with sliding garage, basically 3-bay garage building, 3 bays, sliding doors and climate control. And it's already been approved by the zoning board and also the planning board.
Okay. Now, is your seating capacity changing?
No, we just trying to do some outside seating for the summer, for the spring. And we're spreading the capacity of the restaurant, like between the dining room and outside seating. The seating capacity will not change.
But the potential seating capacity would change, wouldn't it?
We're not planning on it.
Mr. Chair, if I can, I know I did
Go
talk
ahead.
about this. The seating capacity has to change to incorporate the outside seating. Now, what does that do for the plumbing is another story. I mean, he's got his building permit, or I should say his permission from the planning board and so on. I think what he's asking for us, and Paul and I touched this a little bit, is the grease trap capacity. So you have to take what's outside and add what's inside as a max. No matter what happens, it's a max. If he's using it or not, people are going to sit there sooner or later. So we have to consider the grease trap. And I know we've had an issue up in that area before, because there used to be the restaurant Cappy's, I think it was there before, which was nothing but fried food. So I'll stop it there, but that's would be my concern, is the capacity for grease. As far as everything else, I know I don't have a problem with it. I mean, He's not changing the bathrooms, there's no plumbing, it's just grease because of more food he's gonna be producing, which is a good thing, but that's our concern.
Well, Dave, can I say something?
Yeah.
So I agree of what he's saying. So we had a plan with the trapper, with Gary, and they already cleaned the pipe outside the external grease trap. They jacked already the pipe.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are now on 3-month schedule, quarterly schedule. And the schedule will include cleaning outside and the grease trap inside. The situation with the grease trap inside the restaurant, there is 2 grease traps. Since I came in to this building, we never used the 3-bay sink, which had the old grease trap. We always used it as vegetable sink because we have other dishwashers. We have 2 dishwashers working to wash dishes. So I also shut down the second dishwasher, and we had a 3-bay sink with a brand new grease trap, and it's been inspected by the plumber inspector. So this one would get cleaned up every other week, and Gary from the trapper, they would come in to do professional cleaning every quarter when they take care outside as well. As far as the old grease trap, that section is being canceled. I put a sign on the wall. We're not using that sink for any pots and pans or washing dishes. It's only for cleaning vegetables.
Yep.
So that grease trap had no existence from now on. And honestly speaking, I never even know that was existing because I was buried under the sink.
Yeah.
And now there is no use for that section whatsoever, except washing dishes, washing vegetable once in a while. But the main one now, it's nearby the dishwasher and also underneath the 3-bay sink, and that would be cleaned every other week by my staff. And we would have a record for that, and we'll have a login sheet on the wall. And also we get cleaned up again once every quarter when the grease trapper comes in to do outside, to do the inside as well. And that's the plan, and that's what we've been doing.
You know, Mike, I just want to say thank you. And Mr. Chair, Mike and I did talk about some issues. And I know Paul is on top of this as far as the 25% rule. And I appreciate what Mike is doing. And like I said, the only thing I would request is a letter from Gary for our files that he's signing off on the grease trap. And then Paul are monitoring it with Mike. And again, I think our concern was that he's doing construction. This would be the time to change out the exterior grease trap, but it may not be required if he cleaned it, because Mike, did you get a report on how bad the pipes were before you cleaned it?
Honestly, I didn't. Well, someone came in and inspected the grease trap, and he says the grease trap was very old, which is, I agree, it's very old, it's been there forever, which is, I don't have any use for it for the time being, even going forward in the future. This one is canceled out.
Okay.
Gary is going to seal it. Okay, so there's no more, that thing exists anymore. As far as the other one, would be cleaned every other week, the internal one. And Gary would come in once every quarter, and we have a contract with them already. And I think Gary already stopped by the office last week and he spoke to Paula, I believe. And as far as the 25% and 15%, just to hear me out for a second, please.
Yep.
We were scheduled for cleaning outside every quarter, every 3 months. That's why the grease was at 25%. Somehow, with some misunderstanding, so someone came in from the grease trapper and cleaned outside at the second month. So at that time, the ratio of the grease came into 15%, correct? And that was the word. Because I don't know, this is my math to it. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. You correct me if I am. The 25% for 3 months, that's about average 8% per month. Correct? About 7.5 to 8% per month. So when we did it, after 2 months, the average was 15%. So very much it's in the same ballpark. if you figure 3 months ratio of 25%, and now we got a ratio of 2 months of 15%, that means it's 7.5, under 8% per month. So if we do the math for 3 months, that would come to 25%, correct? Or I'm wrong?
No, you're in the ballpark, yeah.
Wrong way. So it's been done after 2 months versus 3 months. The first 3 months was 25%. Somehow they came in, they cleaned the track, they cleaned the grease trap outside after 2 months, which is, we did not require that. We did
That
not-
was required by the commission because
Okay.
you had been at 30% fog, then 25%. So they requested to be present and to pump it
After 2 months.
early after 2 months, yes.
Okay. So if we figure the ratio per month, it's by 8%, correct? Or that's the wrong math. If you divide it 25% by 3 months, that comes.
Carlene's trying to talk. I'm sorry.
I'm thinking that's because that pipe needed to be pumped out, because we had that pipe pumped out
Yeah.
just last week. So the pipe in the building to the grease trap was pipe cleaned out. So we're wondering if that buildup caused the higher percentage.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I could just add what Mr. Packard has said, I don't know if that was helpful or if you want to wait.
No, please.
So what happened is, as I said, the February 15th pumping was because the commission had requested it because of the high percentage of fog. So on March 23rd, myself, Al Packard, and Bill Bernard visited the establishment. We did look at the grease trap in the floor that Mr. Mohammed has talked about. There was a sign posted with cleaning dates on it right above the trap. However, that trap apparently is not in use, but at the time of the inspection, it needed to be replaced. The grease trap on the back wall that apparently is in use did not have a sign. There is a sign now. I received an email from Carlene that they've put a log and they've also put a sign saying not to put grease in the sink. The jetting of the pipes was recommended because the inlet to the interceptor and the outlet to the interceptor were very, very, there was a lot of buildup. So Al had recommended to potentially cut down on fog to jet the pipes, which is
Right.
what they've done. So they have done that both on the one coming into the interceptor and the one coming out. Unfortunately, Al is out of town until Wednesday, but I did talk with him briefly about this, and what he would like to know is the seating capacity of the outdoor seating. And the reason for that is because the interceptor may not be large enough to accommodate that seating, and he would have to do that calculation. But the plans on file with the building department do not have any seating arrangements or idea of how many people can fit in that expanded area.
Okay. Is that something Al can do?
He's informed me that the only email I've received from Al is that he's concerned that the interceptor may not be large enough and that he needs to understand the seating capacity. So I'm assuming he can.
The seating capacity will stay the same around 140, between 130 and 140 seats. And 140 seats will be divided between the two places, between the outside seating and the inside seating. There's no possible way to have all these people in the same time. And that's the plan, is spreading the seating between outside to take advantage of the spring and the summertime to get more business outside. But if we have people outside, it's not going to have people inside. That would offset the inside because nobody wants to sit inside if the outside is available to be seated. And that's the whole idea of having the building outside and have it structurally sound, and we don't have to take it down and build it up again every season. And that was the whole entire idea of having this building outside. The seating capacity would not increase. The seating capacity would divide it between the two places. Most of the time, outside seating is available. Most of the people don't want to sit outside, not the inside. So if the outside more people, the inside will be a lot less people. And basically, that's the whole idea. And the table has been spreading out. It's not too close like it used to be before COVID. Since COVID, we've been spreading the tables and we have a lot less seating in the restaurant than ever been. And that's the whole idea.
Could someone tell me who in town, what board, commission, inspector is responsible for controlling seating capacity at a restaurant?
That would either be the planning board or the building department. And I would, now, I don't know what's going on with the building department, but they usually set the standard for seating capacity. And what Mike said is true. If I went to Mike's restaurant and said, I want to sit outside and I can sit outside, that's great. But now, say you come along and you want to sit outside, but outside is full, then you're going to sit inside. So you have to look at the total structure as total capacity. And as far as, I would take Gary's, the plumbing inspector's report. If he approves it, then I would go with that. I don't think our what do you call him? What's the guy's name who does our work?
Al Packard.
Al. I don't think Al should really get involved in it. We need a write-off from the plumbing inspector. And if
I
Gary's
know-
happy,
I know he is reviewing it. Gary Williams is reviewing it at this point.
I mean, and as far as, you know, when I was the inspector in Shrewsbury for grease traps, one of the whole keys is you got to keep your interior grease traps clean. Once that starts clogging up, all the other stuff goes in your outside grease trap and causes the problem.
And David, that's my attention,
Yeah.
to keep the eye on the grease trap, and whatever it takes, whatever it costs, we're willing to go for it. Right now, we're gonna do at a quarterly basis, and if it gets too much, we can go on 2 months, even if I have to go on a monthly basis.
You know, Mike, I know we talked about you coming from another town and it's different, but the fines are just as important in Fitchburg as they were here in Lunenburg. If,
Absolutely, but
Okay.
right now, if it's that what needed to be done to go forward, I am willing to.
yeah, no, and listen, I agree with you, and I don't have a problem with that. I think we have a good understanding, and we're trying to help businesses in town. But on this one here, Mr. Chair, I'd recommend get the report from Gary, sign off on it, just like we normally would.
David, excuse me, with Gary, as far as the bathroom concerned, we do have plenty of bathroom. We have 4 bathrooms in the building.
Bathrooms not our concern, Mike. It has nothing to do with bathrooms. We take Gary's word for that. Nothing's really changing here, except you're gonna be cooking more food, I hope. I hope this is a win-win for you. You're gonna be cooking more food, which produces more grease. And that's what we're concerned about. And no, if you're following what we're saying and what Gary's saying, you're fine, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, no, I agree with you, Dave, and you know, we'll know what's going on by the volume of grease when the interceptor is pumped, and then, you know, if it gets to the point where it has to be pumped once a month, it has to be pumped once a month, and then,
Whatever it takes, sir.
right, and then at that point, you might want to consider expanding the outdoor, because I know it's expensive to pump. But anyway, yeah, I think we should wait to see Gary's report, and then if Gary's all set with it, I don't have a problem. So I don't see that as something we need to take a vote on tonight. Unless
Okay,
I'm-
so
Go
my
ahead.
understanding from what you guys are saying is that provided Gary Williams does not have any recommendations relative to the grease trap, I can sign off on the building permit.
That's what I would say, yeah. I mean,
That's-
I would trust our plumbing inspector. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But I mean, I appreciate all of your concerns, because it's a concern for all of us. But if he's following the rules with Gary, and I like Gary a lot, so I got a lot of respect for him.
Excuse me, the concern is mine as well as you guys are. If something happened to the grease trap, I'm stuck to just as bad as anything else.
Yes, no, and we know that.
It benefit me, it benefit my business. If the grease trap doing well and nothing wrong with it, and it's been clean and doing the right things, and that's the most important thing. The last thing I needed is a pack up to my building with the grease and sewers and stuff like that. That's
Well,
the
we're
last thing.
We're trying to help you prevent that too, Mike, just so you know. That's why we're talking tonight.
I appreciate it very much. I thank you, and I thank you for your concern. But I'm just as concerned as anybody else. With all due respect to everybody, I'm just as concerned. My concern is I would lose sleep if something wrong with any piece of equipment in my place. I can imagine something wrong with the grease trap outside. And that's our livelihood. And I will keep my eyes on it. I would have Gary at the trapper. He's a great guy, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to help the situation, but to make it better. And at the end of the day, it's better for all of us, not just me, not just you guys, it's the whole entire town.
So
And hopefully,
we-
yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor. We do need a vote, Mr. Chairman, because this is considered an expansion of use, so you have to approve it.
Okay, well, I was thinking
Which is why it came before you guys. So you could approve it contingent upon Gary Williams' approval if you so choose. Otherwise, it will have to come back before another meeting, and I don't really want to hold up the building permit.
I appreciate that very much, Paula.
okay.
Mr. Chair, I was going to recommend if you want, I can make a motion to approve it.
Go ahead.
Waiting a permit from Gary.
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit then, Dave.
I was going to do the motion to, and agree, Paula, we should take a vote on it to either approve it or deny it. But upon waiting for Gary's sign off, I mean, that's what we need is Gary's sign off.
All right, well, why don't you pose that in the form of a motion?
Mr. Chair, I propose a motion that we approve the use change at Alforno's on Electric Ave in Lunenburg, pending approval from the Lunenburg plumbing inspector.
Okay, anyone want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Dave McDonald.
Aye.
Mike Knoll,
Aye.
Brett Ramsden,
Aye.
and I for myself. The motion is approved, so
And Mike, I hope you fill up the outside seating and your restaurant.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Paula.
Mhm.
And I'm very grateful to this community, and I'm so happy to be in Lunenburg because it's such a great town, and I want to be part of it. And I want to be a good citizen, a good businessman, and I do whatever it takes to make it happen. I promise you, if any problem, I will get on it right away. I will address it right away, and whatever it takes, I'm gonna work on it. And
Don't
that's
worry,
what makes you
Paula
guys-
will remind you of that every day, trust me.
Well, thank you. I said that too. Sometimes I do need the reminder.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good
Mike.
night.
Thank you,
Paula,
Colleen,
thank
too.
you again. Good night.
Good night.
Night now.
Okay, why don't we get back to the RFP?
Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes, I'll be right back. Keep talking, I can hear.
So the first thing I thought we should talk about is, Bill had suggested we put the RFP back into one RFP. Both the generators and the pump stations are, contracts expire as of June 30th. So I don't know if, Bill, you wanted to talk about that a little bit and get feedback from the commission.
Yeah, I can. So in my experience with working two contractors, working essentially on the same location, you can run into problems, if something goes wrong, they start pointing the fingers immediately, right? He said, he did this, they did that. I don't like dealing like that. I'd rather have one contract to handle our entire system. I think it would be better in the long run. The way it's going now is it's essentially the generator company is essentially working for CTE. CTE is directing them. It's essentially the same. There's probably no company out there that could do all the work. So the generator repairs are going to be subbed out anyway. It's going to work the same way anyway. So I don't see why we should split it. But that's my thoughts.
Okay, someone that was on the commission before, if you can remind me why it was split out before?
Yeah,
Trying to
Mr.
remember
Chair.
that one first.
I can do that if you like.
Yeah.
For that reason. We didn't want to put everything under one umbrella. We wanted to get more vendors involved. Since the sewer and the generators are two different animals, you have a It wasn't never designed to have our sewer pump people do the generators. It was always designed to have another company come in and work directly for us. It was never meant to hire you and then sub it out because you're gonna mock that money up as well. It's more convenience than necessity. And again, I'll go along whatever you want, but it was designed to get more vendors involved in the business. And by having two separate companies, is it a pain to monitor? Not really, but it's easier for Bill to manage one company to handle both, if you know what I'm trying to say. So Bill, I know what you're saying, but when we did this, it was designed to protect ourselves. And again, after, if you look at the history, and Barbara will probably tell you that if a company falls down, at least you have something else going. Right now, if a company falls down, we lost everything. You know what I mean? Like that happened to us before. So I'd go either way, just saying why we did it.
Okay. Mike or Brett, any thoughts?
Kind of echoing with Dave, I was also on the sewer at that point, and the company at the time had to sub out the generators. They basically said, we can't deal with the generators. They were subbing them out. So as kind of a cost-effective way, at least we thought it was cost-effective, was we separated it out. So we had a bid for the generators, you know, on their own, somebody that would come out and maintain them. I'm okay with putting it all into one, as long as it's, you know, cost effective, which, you know, that was one of the reasons we did this, because we felt, you know, we could put the generators out for bid and we could put the sewer itself out for bid, and just felt it was cost effective, that's all. So, but I do get where Bill's coming from, that, you know, it's much easier to basically have one person dealing with it all, one company, and going from there, so.
Right.
And one real quick comment, I did look at some of those generator reports. I didn't get a chance to see them all, but very impressed with the reports that they're reporting. I mean, pictures of everything, very thorough, I thought, which, I mean, you know, we rely on those generators and they're big money, so.
Yeah. Brett, any thoughts?
I got a question for Bill. Did you ever discuss this with Al at all? I get the impression Al is barely able to keep up with the huge amount of maintenance he's dealing with now, him and his people. I'm just wondering, did you mention anything to him? Or does he feel he could handle doing both, just out of curiosity? Or as a company, if we were to keep them on, which we obviously like to.
Well, not this specific question we have here, separate or combined contracts, but he definitely plays a big role in the maintenance of the generators. He was trying to get them, for the minor inspection, when they come out and do that, they might come up with some suggestions, like we have a block heater that needs help. So, he's trying to tell them, when you come in for the major, bring all the parts for the block heater, if we want to do it, and do it at that time, so there's no extra charges, because they charge you for travel time and mileage, that kind of stuff. So he does play a big role in it.
You know, I think, Mr. Chair, if we look at Bill as the supervisor and the one in charge of the sewer department, we have to take his recommendation to heart as well. I think we explain why we want to do it, Bill, but you're the boss. And I think that would be the bottom line for me. Our job is to advise you, but you're running it. So again, I think we explained why we wanted two companies when we did it. But again, you're the one sitting at that desk, not I.
Yeah. I mean, I had, when I first talked to Bill about this a few weeks ago, I like everyone else, I think I could come up with an argument for it going either way. Dave and Mike, you brought up one big issue, obviously, is what is the most cost-effective way to do it. And I guess we really wouldn't know that until we start getting bids on the contracts. So I guess as you said, Dave, I would defer to what Bill wants to do.
Yep.
He wants one person to own it, so Bill, you can own it, or
I'd
Paula.
like-
No, not me.
By chance, has anyone talked to Al's boss, Empry himself? Anyone talked to him lately?
No.
You may want to give him a call and see what his thoughts are too. I haven't talked to him in like a year and a half. In fact, we should have him come to the board one of these days soon before, when's this contract done?
June 30th.
And maybe we can have him come in next meeting or something and just give us a review.
I'd be curious of his thoughts on this.
Yeah, no, I would too. I mean, we like him. There's obviously a good relationship there. But yeah, I think we should talk to him. I think the last time we had so much stuff going on and we had to kind of push him off, if I remember, Paula. Or I missed that meeting.
I honestly, I know Al was gonna come in and he didn't have the reports ready and wasn't able to attend. But I can certainly put CTE on the agenda. The concern that I have is if we wait another 2 weeks to move forward with this proposal, we're not gonna get it back in time.
No, I want to do this now. I mean,
So,
they're under contract with us until what, July 1st.
yeah,
So we still got 3 months with these guys right now. Hopefully it'll be renewed, but I would like to see an update before a new proposal is awarded. You know what I mean? It's not gonna stop this.
I completely agree. I would like to have a report and an update before the end of the contract as well.
Why don't we go through this now? Maybe we can get this approved tonight so you can get it going. If you want to
Yeah.
scroll down.
Okay,
I can still hear everyone.
so I'm not sure how you guys want to do this, so
To show us any changes you're making.
So because we are combining them, there are changes, obviously of minor things, myself and Bill versus Barb and Jack. The proposal right now is to release do a pre-proposal virtual conference on May 10th, and then the proposals would be due Wednesday, May 31st, and then the award would be June 13th.
Okay.
So that's a pretty tight timeline. So there's the date, obviously, with request for services, we added the generators to the service under the pump stations.
You were being very optimistic, Paula.
Sorry?
I said you were being optimistic by adding the generators into it.
Well, this is the proposal we've sent out, so if
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
know,
change
I'm
it, I
just
need
kidding
to
you.
rework.
Just kidding you.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Paula.
Yes,
Okay, you want to go down a little bit more?
sure. These are just dates and names. This is the monitoring of alarm callouts. Well, I don't know if I can see your, hold on, I want to show comments because I couldn't see the comments. I don't know. Okay, one of the questions that I had is the bid deposit, 5% of the bid and payment bond of 50%. Do we want to require that?
I think we required the 50% bond. That was from Heather. You may want to check with Heather on that one.
Okay,
Yeah, there's nothing big about that.
okay.
I think that's pretty standard.
It's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done this, so. Certainly for not anything of this scope.
You know, if you're trying to kill my eyes, you're doing a real good job on that.
I'm sorry. So the reports have all stayed the same.
Yeah.
Annual reporting has stayed the same, exterior maintenance has stayed the same.
So Paula, I had a comment, it was up a few pages on the
Okay.
no charges for remote response to
I
alarm
thought you said-
calls.
Yeah, hold on.
Where is it? Up
I
just
did, I did see that too.
Right,
Yeah,
no charges for remote. I don't know why I'm not seeing your comments. As I have them in my printed record. But go ahead, Bill.
so my thought on that is, if somebody's answering remote calls, they're gonna expect to get paid, so the technician who answers, it's gonna get a paycheck for that. So I think it's in our best interest to pay for that. Maybe we can limit it to, say, 2 hours. We pay you 2 hours for that call out. If we leave it as it is, the contract is gonna have to build into their price some kind of, way to get compensated for that. So they're gonna take a guess of how many, alarms there's gonna be. So if they guess way too high, they're gonna build in a number that's way too high. We're gonna get higher prices. Excuse me.
So,
Right.
Bill, I like that idea of putting a budget not to exceed
Right,
a lot of money. And the reason why we put that in is because we were getting killed on that. A lot of the
Yeah.
vendors were taking advantage of that.
Sure.
A call and charging us some 4-hour minimum. So maybe
Yeah.
between you and Paula, maybe you can look at that and say, all right, this is our guideline, you know what I mean? But to get charged for a remote call at a $4 minimum at overtime was ridiculous. And that's why it was put in at that time.
So this is for remote response, and I would, if we're gonna put a charge in there, I would make sure that it's outside of, it would be a 2-hour charge outside of the regular hours.
out of normal business
Out of
hours.
normal business hours, which are 6 AM to 6 PM. So I would be
Yeah.
careful about how we word that.
I think that's something
Yeah.
that you and Bill should look at tomorrow. Paula.
I can't remember the wording, but I thought, and obviously it's changed a couple times since the original, but we had some real big issues with alarms.
Yeah.
It was crazy, the amount of what was going out. So
Mm.
we had them work it into the contract. I don't remember the numbers, but let's say, 2 calls a month or something were already in the contract to expect 2 calls. And then above that, there was a basis, I think, but something had to be done. It was like having, another full-time employee or a couple of full-time employees. It was just so crazy. So,
Right, I think there were
That's
times when we were actually double charged for those call outs, but
You know,
we were just trying to find a way to, we kind of felt at the time that if the stations were maintained properly, the time, the call outs would go down, and I think that somewhat has come true, but back then it was kind of crazy.
You know what, Mike, you're absolutely right. And I remember this now, where it said no charges for remote response to alarm callouts during regular business hours. That's what was taken
Something
off
to
somewhere
that
along the way.
effect.
That was taken off.
Yeah, so we wanna, so I just put a note to, Bill and I will address that.
Yeah.
But that's
Okay.
what it was, because they were charging us overtime during business hours.
And that's what I think we wanna make sure they don't.
Yeah, that's
Right.
why I said no charge. It was during
Yeah.
the 8-hour day.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Well, why don't we just add that during normal business hours?
go ahead.
And then obviously, it's something we can monitor, and if there is an issue, once we sign a contract, there's not much we can do, but it would still, if it gets to the point it's crazy, I mean.
I also like the Mike's idea of putting in a number, whether it's 2 or 5 or whatever it is, a month that
Yeah,
should be expected, that should be built into the cost. At least it reduces it down a little bit.
Right,
What you don't want to do, Bill, is set up a category as a catch-all. So if I was a GC, I'd be looking at that, and Brett, maybe you know what I'm talking about. I'd be adding, oh, look at this, I got some free money here, I'm gonna put 2-hour charge. You know what I mean? So that's the other thing you gotta look at, because
Yeah.
it's free cash for a contract.
Does that language
Yeah.
work, or?
No. I would kind of divide it a little bit more.
Okay,
Do you have any
Per
wording
month.
for him?
Well, I'm thinking on my top of my head, remote response outside normal business hours. Available up to 2 hours overtime per week, per month, per day. What does that mean?
well, Bill, what are your thoughts? You just had 2 hours of overtime, if it takes less than
Yeah.
2 hours.
Hmm.
So you want to
Yes.
cap it, Dave?
I would cap it per month and anything above that would have to be approval.
I like that idea. It would be nice to know how many alarms we're getting now.
We used to have fill out a form. Are we still doing that? That used to be
We-
on forms.
We, unfortunately, we don't have any reports. We haven't received any since for over a year.
Why is that?
Maybe there haven't been any calls.
Oh, no, there's been calls.
So why no reports?
We have
Contract
requested
hasn't
them,
followed through.
we have requested them numerous times, as did Barb prior to her departure
Are we requesting through Al or through his boss?
through Al.
I was,
Al is only servicing Lunenburg at this point,
yeah,
so he's our contact,
but the checks are being made to his boss.
correct?
So I would start putting his boss on everything we do. If I was doing this and if I hired Al, I would want, I'm liable for the business. It's my business, not Al's. Al just happens to be our agent, who does a good job. But that's why I'm saying, have we talked to the owner at all? We may want to get him involved before we send this out. And just talk to him, see what's going on with him.
I do know that Al has indicated that he's been working on the reports, and Bill, I don't know if you have anything else to add, because I know Al actually generates the reports.
So Alice told us a couple of times, you'll have the reports by Friday, and the Fridays come and go. So our thought was, we'll give them to this Friday. If we don't see it, we're holding back payment until we do see him.
You
But-
know,
But Dave, you had the right idea, call Chad Empey himself.
Yeah, I think that's fine, wait until this Friday, but before holding payment, I certainly would think probably have a conversation with Chad Empey.
Mhm.
And, you know, you can bring up this discussion of holding back payment, but I wouldn't want to just hold it back if he's not aware of it.
you know, could I ask a question, Mr. Chair, through you?
Absolutely.
What if we bought a iPod or an iPad and Paula, we throw a program on it that when he's at a station, he can just punch in questions? Like, that's all it is, it's just a questionnaire, isn't it? That's what we had before.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
Well, wasn't it just an Excel spreadsheet and he would,
It was a
you know,
check,
certain categories and he would just fill in the cells?
that's it, yeah. In fact, I might have some copies, I'll check in the office tomorrow of our old reports that we got.
All right, if you could do that and get it to Paula or Bill.
I mean, we can make it easier on not just Al, but any future company coming in.
Right, but
Yeah.
we need to have the discussion with Empey.
Okay,
So do we want to put a cap on this billable up to 2 hours at the overtime rate?
I think we need some kind of cap because we don't want to end up having this done daily. So,
I would say probably 5 hours a month. I mean, what are we paying an hour? Not to exceed $5 per month or $5 per quarter or something like that.
The only comment that I have, though, is that if it's an alarm after hours, they don't really have control over that.
well, they do in the sense that, and I think we saw this before and either Dave or Mike mentioned it. The better maintained the pump stations are, the fewer call outs there are.
Yes,
So if we're too liberal with it, then, you know, maybe the pump stations won't be maintained as well.
Well, I'm kind of concerned now, Mr. Chair, when you say, oh, yes, this is the first we're hearing of that. So how many calls are you getting? You would know better, obviously, than us now.
I know that I know that the alarms went off when we lost power during that snowstorm. I know that the alarms went off. I know that one of the things I have on my business report is there was an alarm that needed to be replaced at Meadowwoods, which is in process. So there have been alarms. So.
And I know we're gonna get alarms anyways, that's gonna happen. Especially with the snowstorm that we had, and you're gonna see generators working.
Exactly.
But, I mean, we used to get these every day, these alarms, if you remember right, Mike, at the time.
It was pretty
It was
much
frequent.
out of control. Yeah.
So,
There's certainly nothing like that.
okay, but then how do you feel about the 5 hours per month?
I think,
And I haven't seen any reports, so I don't know.
I think, why don't we do the 5 hours per month for now and you know, obviously, if it ended up being 10 hours, then I think we need to be able to, you know, talk to whoever has the contract and
Yep.
do something out. Bill, you had your hand up.
I think the 5 has to be a multiple of 2, and I would put it at 10 hours. It's only 5 alarms per month. About 1 a week. I'm gonna guess we're getting that anyway.
Okay,
After hours.
All right, and then I guess if we got 10 every month on a regular basis, I guess we would have to, you know, have a discussion about that. You know, is it 10 because 10 is available? So yeah, let's put it at 10.
I'd like to think at least the current company is pretty respectable. They
Oh, I think
don't,
so.
they don't, you know, Al definitely seems concerned and, you know, takes it to heart. So, but
Yep.
it's, you know, if for some reason another company steps in, you know, then we've got to watch it all over again. That's all.
Right.
He does do everything to keep costs down, no question about that.
hey, kudos Al, I got nothing but praise for the guy. I think he did a great job.
Ditto.
Unfortunately, we can't write a contract based on Al.
No, but obviously it looks that way,
Well,
but,
I think, Dave, I think we're all on the same page here.
okay, Barb, Jesus.
That's okay.
Dave, you must be over 50 years old. That was quite a slip.
Oh, geez.
Bill, you had a comment here about attending meetings. I put that all together under one heading because they'd be attending for one, you know, whether it be for O&M or whether it be for the generators, it's still a meeting. So is that okay? Or I put it in section 9.
Yeah, I forget what my comment was.
Was just that to add the meeting section in here before reports, but I just have it as another section.
Oh, down below.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So these are the reports and this is the same. Maintenance, is the same, no changes.
Paul, go back up.
Yep.
Snow removal, what's that? One more. No, right there, pump station exterior maintenance. Bill, do you have any areas on that? Number 5?
Any concerns with that? Not really, no.
Okay.
And the DPW does the plowing. The contractor has to get into the door, so, you know, he has to shovel a path to the door. I don't think that's asking too much.
No, I just want to make sure we didn't have any problem because that was an issue that came up the last time we sent this out, so. In fact, wasn't there a defective plate at one of the pump stations.
That's been corrected.
That's been corrected. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Mhm. Okay, so parts and materials, Bill, you had a question, why is this deleted? I recommend keeping it. It is kept, it's just in a different section. It's in section 7
Okay.
now. Rate schedule, Bill and I talked about this today. This is something Barb was pretty adamant about keeping in, but I put it in later in the RFP. Bill, this was your suggestion to remove billing at the hourly rate where applicable begins upon arrival at the station. You asked to remove that, so I did.
What was That's right. Yeah, it contradicted something else, somewhere else in the contract. In the language.
Okay,
Same page, I had another comment, right? On. I think it was same,
it was the parts and materials, I think.
on the miscellaneous.
Okay, oh, minimum of 2 hours, and I did change that. Yeah, hold on.
No, is this the same spot?
Yeah, most contractors will have,
Yeah.
oh, you just had a comment that most contractors will have a minimum of 2 people on every job. Including the 10 hours of weekly routine maintenance because of the inherent electrical and mechanical dangers associated with pump stations. We can leave this language. I just want to point out what I expect to see from the contractors. This is on number B.
Yeah, so right now, I think Al works by himself, but that's pretty rare, especially working on electrical mechanical systems.
Yep.
It's usually a minimum of 2 people. So I just wanted to point that out, and if CTE doesn't bid on it, somebody else does, and cost is a little higher. That's one of the reasons.
Yep.
Okay. Generator maintenance, I basically pulled from the generator RFP, but I do want to point out, and I don't know, the generators that Weld, I pulled the types of generators and the information from the reports that Weld gave us. What was in the RFP were not these same generators, the previous RFP, so I'm assuming at some point between then and now, generators have been changed. But this is what I got from the Weld reports, so I'm assuming that's correct.
I don't think generators have been changed out that recently.
That I would be surprised because they're extremely expensive. So I don't know why
Right.
what was in the RFP is different than what Weld has.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question.
So I'll just verify that with Al before we put it out, that these are correct.
Okay,
Are those the model numbers next to it?
Yeah, yeah. So none of this is basically essentially lifted right from the generator RFP. There's no change in the language.
Yep.
The major and minor maintenance is also pulled directly from the other RFP. Okay, and then this is repairs, again, just pulled, nothing changes. This is section 7. This is the parts and materials. And Bill, you had a question here about markup.
Yeah, I think we should limit the markup to 10%.
Actually, the industry now is 8%, just so you know.
Is what?
8%.
8, okay.
I mean, it's up to
Uh,
you.
My 30 years experience, it's always been 10%.
Again, I'm not gonna fight over 2, but
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
yeah, so is that, I say this with a smile, is that the difference between state contracts and the public contracts? I don't know.
probably is.
So do we split the difference and make it 9?
No, go with 10, but usually it's 8%.
Okay,
in my business. I'm gonna work for you guys.
Okay, so we're gonna leave that at the 10%. So this is the rate schedule. Bill had a question about whether to include it or not. Barb was pretty adamant we should include it. So that they identify all the various rates. One of the questions that I had is on this chart. I'm not quite sure why we have markup for parts if we've already specified
Yeah,
that it's 10%.
I don't think we need it.
Okay, so I'm gonna delete that, but I'm gonna.
Well, that's just my opinion, Paula, but
Okay. Thoughts?
Trying to remember, Mike, why did we put that in before?
Remember that part.
I think it was markup on parts for their maintenance.
Maybe they're general, but you know, it's kind of repetitious. Just leave it at the 10% and, or 8%, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I know we put it in for a reason. I just forgot the reason.
okay, so Paul, it sounds like you can eliminate that.
Okay, I will. I just, for some reason, I can't do it here. I don't like
What-
this version.
Mr. Chair, if I could, Brett, what are your thoughts on that? You do business like this.
Looks repetitious to me.
I'm sorry?
It looks like it's repetition to me. I should
Okay.
remove it.
Okay. Meetings.
I had a question on the crane. Depends on what size crane. You know, you might need a little tiny one or a great big one. Is a huge difference in cost. That I might just, for me, I would take that line out and then somewhere else in the language, put any rental equipment or any equipment they gotta bring in, it's cost plus 10%.
I don't want 10% of a big crane.
Yeah. Well, we're not gonna. need
I'm
a
okay with
huge
10% on a
one.
little crane.
Yeah.
Should we change that then, instead of crane, just put down rental equipment if needed?
Well, I just want to check the language because Al calls cranes the arms that lift the generators up.
Yes.
So we have those, so they're not going to be, I mean, and actually, if we get to the point later in the meeting to talk about capital planning, we're going to be replacing some of those. So I don't know. That
Yeah, I
was
mean,
figured out.
we're talking about cranes that would fit inside these
Pump station?
Stations.
pump
inside the
stations. Yeah. I mean,
Don't we own those?
the ones inside the pump stations. Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
So,
And
does this actually need to be here?
No, I would take it out.
We just replaced, if you remember, on Dana Street, we just did a whole bunch of repairs to that crane. We anchored it. So there is work done on the cranes.
Yeah, but that would go under the maintenance part of it.
Right.
I would take that whole line out.
Take that whole line out.
Just
Yeah,
because that's
I
giving
would.
somebody an opportunity, that's all.
I would, unless Mike or Brett, you object to that, or
None at all.
okay.
Okay,
And then maybe like you have BC, maybe add D, that any rental equipment is the actual cost plus 10%. And typically we do it, ask the contractor to get 3 quotes on rental equipment. So make sure we're getting the best cost.
Yeah, now, do you have final approval of that, Bill, and the way this is written?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
how it should be. Yep.
Okay.
is that okay, Bill?
Yeah, and then approved by DPW director.
We can finesse that, but just, I want to make sure I capture it. Okay, meetings is the same. It's just a new section, move down. Term of the contract, and you had questions on this, Bill, and I think they were really good. Is,
Yeah.
this says rates for years 2 and 3 will be identified in the event of contract renewal. Bill's question is, should they be identified in this bid?
What was that, Paul? I'm sorry.
Bill, if you want to talk about it.
I think it
wait a
was
minute,
under
this- no,
pricing,
you're right, that's under pricing, I'm
Propo-
sorry. So the
proposal
term isn't the
pricing.
same. Yeah, the term isn't the same, it's right here,
Yeah,
right here, number 3.
What's the question?
so what is this line? What does line 3 mean? Right? It says rates for years 2 and 3 will be identified in the event of contract renewal. Identified when, how, it doesn't make sense to me. So are we asking them to give us year 2 and 3 pricing now?
Well, it's a 3-year contract, right, that we're signing.
No,
Right,
it's a
but
1 year,
it's-
it's a 1 year. With
a-
up to 3 years.
Right.
It's a 1 year, no, I think that was put in. It's a 3-year contract overall, isn't it? We're not gonna redo this every year.
I don't, don't we have to agree every year to continue?
Yes,
And I
Right,
think that's why when we talked about this, we wanted to know what the rates for year 2 and 3 are gonna be. But it's probably not necessary if you're signing a 3-year contract.
but we're not, it's a 1 year extendable, an addition, which can be an additional 2 years.
yeah, and given. I mean, if I was bidding on this, I would, given the current environment, I would be reluctant if I was gonna have to hold things for 3 years. The price of things for 3 years, but
That's what it was when we designed it, we try to find out for budget purposes, and what are we gonna do for the company? Because they can come back to us and say, after year 1, year 2, we gotta go up 150%. So we're trying to put some safeguards in there for that. So you may want to change that out to rates not to increase more than 2% per year for the contract. And that way we can budget it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I hear you. Limiting it to 2% in this current environment might be an issue for someone, that's all.
Again, that's why it was put in, how you want to word it, but it was put in to protect us, so a company can't come back, not to see a 5% increase every year or whatever. I don't know, have these guys gone up every year in the past? Does anyone know?
I know they have gone up, but I haven't looked back, but I know there was a rate increase at one point.
Maybe we should look at that, because I know we went through COVID and pumps were working pretty fast there during COVID. I mean, these guys were there during the COVID. And everybody was home, so the pumps were working 24/7 virtually.
What if we changed it to rates for years 2 and 3 will be identified during discussions of, during contract renewal discussions?
You could do that too.
Yeah, I think that works well.
Does that work, Bill?
Say it again, please.
Let me type it and then you can
Okay.
see.
I like that because it gives them an incentive to keep the cost down that they're trying to renew.
Right,
Does that work, Bill?
Okay, so we're not asking them to give us those rates at the initial bid, but at the end of each year, we want to see their new rates.
Yeah,
It's essentially what we're doing, right? I guess, yeah, it's fair for the contractor doing it that way, yeah.
I think that's when you discuss this, we have to put, for budget purposes, no more, you can't allow any more than a certain amount of number. Maybe we should look at the contract or in the past, over the last, say, 4 years, and what was that percentage every year? That would help us a lot, I think.
So, Bill, you said you thought that was fair for the person that ends up with this contract. You okay with that for the town of Lunenburg?
Um. Yeah. Uh. Because, well, at that point, it's gonna become a negotiation, right? We're just not gonna accept their rates if they double them.
Right.
Right.
Um,
I like it. I think it keeps it honest.
yeah.
Yeah.
Capping it scares me a little bit, because look at what's inflation been doing? What if inflation jumps way high again and it's beyond what we cap it at? You're gonna run
That's-
into problems.
Bill, that's
Right.
something you're gonna have to use your gut to go through.
Yeah,
Now things are going the other way. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I thought the current administration said that inflation was going to go down significantly.
Yeah.
So do we want to take out that ad percentage and just leave it the way it is?
maybe take out the ad percentage and just renew discussions. That's something that should be discussed
Okay.
when you do the interview process.
We changed discussions to negotiations.
I would leave
Everybody,
discussion.
keep rolling. I just need a couple minutes. Keep this rolling. I'll be right back.
I would leave discussions because
Yeah.
negotiations sounds like we're almost adversarial at that time. I think just discussions.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know why this is removed.
You didn't
I
see my
don't think we
text?
should be procuring equipment. I know I don't want to be, Bill. I don't think you want to be. Procured by the sewer commission? We have not been procuring equipment. They have been.
right.
Yeah, I think that should be removed. I don't know, Dave and Mike, if it was in there for a reason.
Which one? I'm sorry, the specified by contractor?
And procured by the sewer commission. I don't think we want to be buying the equipment. Right now, Al buys whatever he needs, which is working.
Yeah, I would take that out,
Okay.
my opinion.
No, I agree.
If I remember, it was because it was in excess of $1,000. I think it was like. If it was
Here, I'm a little bit.
right, it gave us a chance to negotiate.
Yeah, but it still requires authorization by the DPW director.
Right.
We just don't want to buy
Yeah,
it.
no
We
matter
don't wanna
what.
be buying it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay. Options and credits, we had town office space in there and you offered a cubicle phone and PC. And Bill and I discussed, we really don't have the availability to do that. So we're proposing to eliminate that and just say storage for records and equipment for local use, limited space.
Has there ever been a need for a cubicle space?
That's fine.
So I think it's fine to eliminate it.
We put that in the first time, Paula, when we did this, because we had that extra space at the DPW.
Okay,
I think Jack wanted to talk to the guys.
okay. So you're okay with taking that out?
I am.
Okay. Bill, this just jumped out at me. Bill, should we specify limited space or is this one fine? A under highway garage?
I think it's okay like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just added, this is language from the generator contract. That expenses have to be submitted within a week of expenditure. Individual station reports of all major and minor preventive maintenance performed. So we want those reports basically that we just got from Weld.
Wait, hold on. What happens if they don't submit within a week?
Well, there's a termination clause later on if we wanted to.
Okay.
One of the things that we came across is we had an invoice come through late that was for subcontractor work, and MP submitted the invoice, but never gave us the subcontractor invoice, which is required for payment. So I added that.
Okay.
Paul, go back up to the quality requirements.
Yep,
On B, it says, been employed at least once over the past 10 years. That I think in general, these requirements, they're pretty tight, pretty strict. I think we're limiting potential bidders on this. Maybe we want to, maybe we want, a really specialized company, but there's probably other companies out there that can do the work. Maybe not, enough, as much experience as we're looking for, but could do the work. Just my thought. I don't know what everybody else thinks.
I think that was put into, I agree with you, there's companies that do what, but we had companies, I remember on the first RFP, who did pumps for water, not for sewer. So maybe that might have to be, we work to, proposal firms must demonstrate experience in the operation and maintenance of wastewater collection systems / sewer, to let people know this is for sewer, but that's why that was put in there. I don't have a problem taking it out, but it was put in there because we got proposals for pumps, pool pumps. It was kind of funny if I remember right. So, but I would leave that up to you, Bill.
So, Bill, I have a question. I was, I think this was in preparation for the presentation. Is there a distinction between pump stations and lift stations? I thought one had to do with water, one had to do with sewer.
It's no, in that case, just different style pump.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know, I have to think about it. Is there a way we could open it up just a little bit, keep what's there, but open it up just a touch? I don't know.
okay, so we'll go back to that one. And then that's it. That's all the changes. Everything else is the same.
Okay, so should we go back to that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So Bill, what are your concerns here?
Well, I just don't want us to limit ourselves too much. Because how many of these contractors are out there? There might be somebody else doesn't have quite the experience we're looking for, but can do a good job for us. I just don't want them to be scared off by that language.
Mr. Chair, I don't have a problem taking that paragraph out because once these RFPs come in, we do have to interview them. So that would be a question that we would ask. What experience they have. I mean, that's the question I would ask. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I'd leave it, but just soften it somehow, maybe add something at the end of the sentence,
pretty please.
or at the discretion of the sewer commission. Just to soften it just a little,
We love you, something like that.
not that much, Dave, no.
Pretty please. I know what you're saying, but you know what?
We could just end it after certifications. And then we don't have any restrictions if they demonstrate experience.
Because, it actually, think about this, it says, unless I'm misunderstanding, and must have been employed at least once over the past 10 years by a municipality. Okay, so once means, were they employed for a month, 6 months? So.
I would stop it at the classification of apologies.
Yeah, I'm okay with taking it out
I
of there
think so, I think so.
because that can come later when the bids are in.
Yeah, so Bill, what are your thoughts on that, ending it there?
Sure. I think it'll work.
Okay,
You know, one of the things I see now, Bill, on contracts that I gotta do, I have to start including must follow all national safety codes, OSHA, stuff like that. Should we put that in there or no?
We have OSHA in one of the sections, right, Bill? Do you
Good
remember? I don't
question.
remember where it is.
I'll do a
I
quick
think I
search.
saw that.
Yeah, we do, but
I
I
If-
know.
if
mean, we shouldn't have to say that. Any contractor should be doing that on their own, but it's not a bad idea to say it.
I would have
We have
to,
proof of OSHA trained staff is what we say.
that's something you really want to keep track of.
Yeah,
All work to comply with OSHA and other safety regulations such as confined safe and dig
Yeah.
safe.
Does
yeah,
that,
so we do have it.
We do have
right.
it.
so does that mean when Al has been working by himself, sometimes he might be, or we, or he might be in violation of OSHA standards?
I don't believe it would be we.
Okay,
So we do have the OSHA requirements in there.
I'm
And I
happy
think
with
that's
it,
it.
Mr. Chair.
okay.
I think that's it.
Well, that was easy.
There we go.
So is everybody okay with this? Are we ready to go with it?
Yeah, do I have a motion here?
Paula, can you do me a favor? Can you go back to the top for a second?
Which top, the,
All the way to the top.
Well, this is, we have some time before we send this out. Is that
Not
correct?
really.
no, not really, no.
Not really, no.
Bob, Jesus. Paula, if you get a chance, you know how you can click it and just let it scroll automatically?
No,
If you take your cursor and bring it over on the side
okay,
and click your, no, not there, like in the middle there. Just back click it and it has a little arrow, you can automatically scroll down. Does that happen?
I don't know. Was anybody, I don't know where you're talking about, Dave, to be
Back,
honest.
back click your mouse
Yeah, that just makes it bold.
off the paper there. Back click it.
I did.
Okay, so you don't have that feature where you can
No,
just
no.
let it scroll down.
No,
Can you just scroll down slowly?
are you looking for something in particular that I can?
Just want to
do?
review it one last time to make sure. You keep on going. What day is May 31st this year?
It's a Wednesday.
Hold it right there for 1 second. You go back up just to here. Okay. So category B, is that what we talked about before? Letter B,
Mm-hmm,
so it's 10 hours per week,
yeah,
not to be billed hourly. So how does that work? All maintenance and repairs can be performed during normal business hours.
so, yeah, so unless it's an emergency, you can spend 10 hours a week and we won't be billed for it.
Okay.
Okay,
Do we know how much time Al is spending in Lunenburg?
Nope,
I mean, I see him fairly frequently driving around town.
Yeah, I pass them along as well.
Why
Right.
are we requiring this? Why, so all repairs have to be approved by the DPW director? Bill, do you do that now?
Done at the hourly rate.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the repair out at Meadowwoods. You know, he
Okay,
came to
okay.
us and we talked
Yeah.
about it, yeah.
Yeah, okay. This could be a problem if they're subbing out the generators. On number A under miscellaneous.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that one?
I'm still reading it. So what they're saying basically is that if you have two contractors on site,
Yeah.
when would that happen? Bill, would you know a situation where that would happen? Electrician maybe and a pump guy, I don't know.
Yeah.
What there's, I think what he's saying is that if Al goes there and he's got to open up the station for electrical work, he's gonna charge you. Is that the way I'm reading it? Because he's got to stay there to lock up the pump station. That's the way I'm reading it.
And that's,
I mean, Paula, I think we put that in for that case to keep limited DPW personnel from going and cover it. So we would say to Al, stay there and supervise the pumps. That would be his job. Right,
Okay, so that's fine.
yeah, but we got to understand that Al would be doing that. For example, if you need an electrician, it's part of Al's contract, I would think, unless the town says we want to put new electrical services in the pump. So we ask Al to come and watch that, supervise that, or do we do it? That's what that's in there for. So it's a good catch. I mean, how do you want to handle it? I probably would handle it the way we got now, what's in the contract. But that's why it says the DPW must approve all charges itemized, because when the situation comes up, Bill may say, you know what? I'm not gonna pay you $40 an hour. We're gonna have one of my guys go do it or something like that. But it was made to take pressure off the DPW personnel.
Yeah, so A and C refer to a subcontractor. Any work subcontracted by the contractor must be authorized by the DPW director.
Correct.
So if they're subcontracting out the generators, that's my only concern with this section.
Well, does this give us flexibility so that if it was, we keep saying Al, but we know we mean whoever gets this, but does this give us the flexibility so it could be Al or it could be, gee, if Bill's guys had a slow day, they could do it?
Yeah, I think that would be Bill's call, but if we're gonna sub out the generators and the pumps to one company, that's kind of eliminated because that's their job. So if they're doing the
Right.
generators, they need to get in to do the job. So that's kind of a non-issue by combining both contracts. Do you know what I'm saying, Bill? That kind of
Yeah.
goes with what what you're doing.
yeah, so I don't quite follow what this language is saying, but anytime we have work going on at a pump station, I would want to see the prime contractor there. You know, if he has a sub there, I would want to see the prime there, because the prime is our main contact. If something goes wrong, the prime should be there. To take over and
Well, if I was
That's it.
Al, or if I was a company that did this and I subbed out the generators, I would say, hey, Bill, I got my generator company going in. I'm gonna give a guy in charge accordingly. And that's what that's saying. Basically, that's what that paragraph is saying.
Right, and that actually happens is Al will meet, well, let them in, but then he won't stay.
Right. So one bad thing about that was if you go through all those generator reports, they all say none of them were tested under load,
Because no one was on site, yep.
right? So again, when anybody's working on these, I want to see the prime contractor there. Right, so in this
now
case,
you
with
know.
generators, they could have tested them under load, right? Al could have shut the power off, see if the automatic transfer switch actually worked, and make sure the pumps ran. You
So
know,
Bill, we should
generator
rework
power.
this, we should rework this section, these two paragraphs. Because if
C
you
is-
want them,
To me, C is okay. A, I don't quite follow what it's saying.
okay,
Yeah,
all right, so we'll rework A.
President, what it's saying, Bill, is that when a contractor must be present to open the pump station, so he's saying that MB should be there to open that door to let anybody go into the facility to work. But that would only be done because he's doing the work. So, I mean, if we went in there and said, you know, you want to go change light bulbs to all LED, and we're gonna have your guys do it. What he's saying is that he would go and open the door for charge you for doing that, but we have keys to these pump stations too. It was kind of a non-issue, but it was in there to protect
yeah.
the DPW directors.
But if Bill wants the contractor to remain on site, which this doesn't require, this says if the contractor must remain on site. The DPW must approve all charges, but Bill is saying he wants the contractor to remain on site.
Right, it says that in the second line, if the contractor must remain on site during the duration of the work, or if the work must be done simultaneously in conjunction with both contractors on site, the DPW must approve all charges itemized for the submitted invoice. So what they're saying is that if you got a guy going in there and taking out a circuit breaker, Al can open the door and they close it when they're done. What Bill wants to do is Al will be there, open the door, make sure the work is done and close the door. Is that
Right.
right, Bill?
Yeah,
So that's in the second paragraph or second line. I mean,
except,
I
So
would
we
put
want
it
to
says
take, if we take off if the, and just say Bill, I think what you want is contractor must remain on site for the duration of the work.
Right, but if you take where it says if,
Yeah,
go up to the period after acceptable,
yeah,
hit enter. There'll be a new paragraph. There you go. So if the contractor remains on site, it's got to be approved by Bill.
no, I think that's opposite of what Bill is saying. Bill's saying he
Yeah.
wants the contractor to stay on site regardless.
But that's what that paragraph is saying. It gives Bill the fluctuation to say yes or no. It's got to go through Bill. It's the way I'm reading it. Anybody reading it differently?
Yeah, I have to confess, I'm getting a little confused in the weeds, but Bill brought this up a couple minutes ago. The one thing I picked up on the generator reports is they weren't tested under load. And that was unfortunate. So I'm just having a hard time digesting the English and the grammar here as to how we want
Yeah.
to say it.
me too.
I know what Bill's trying to say, and to me, it's there, but you guys can work on that in the morning if you want, but
So I don't think it's there because I think what Bill is saying is that regardless, he wants the contractor to be on site. And if that's the case, then we would have to pay the contractor to do that, which
Yep.
is not what we're doing now. He just opens the station and closes the station. So if we're going to require them to be on site, we're gonna have to pay them to do that.
Well,
so take out the A where it says that when the contractor must be present, take that out altogether. Then take out if and it's just started off with the contractor must remain on site.
is there a way to leave a little flexibility in there so that the DPW director could decide whether that was needed in every case.
Yeah, where it says miscellaneous, drop it down and say, per DPW's discretion,
Okay,
and that would cover everything. It's up to the DPW's discretion to do all those down below.
Oop. Yeah, I like that. So all work subcontract. So Bill would make the call whether or not he wants the contractor on site or not. So we can work on that language.
Yes,
Yeah, that makes sense.
okay,
we have to make the contract DPW friendly, that Bill calls the shots, not the other way around.
Yeah, so Bill, we can add we can work on that tomorrow. Oop.
Bill, we just want to make sure you have all the power here.
Well, thank you.
We know Paula has it. That's okay. Don't worry
No,
about
I
it.
don't.
Yeah, even when the power goes out, Bill, we want it to continue.
Bill, when you look at this tomorrow, you gotta look at it as everything goes through you. So it's up to DPW discretion or the director's discretion.
Right.
You're the boss.
Okay, so do you
Okay.
want me to keep scrolling?
Yes. You go back up 1 second. Are those all gas or diesel generators?
They should all be diesel.
I think they're all diesel, but I
Yeah.
can check that.
Thought they were, yeah.
Okay.
And, Paula, what you brought up earlier was really pretty interesting that these aren't what, I hope that these are all correct. Because I'm quite positive we haven't replaced any generators.
Yeah, I'll talk to Al about that.
Okay,
I think they're the same. I think it just had a different brand name or something.
It had a different brand name. It was the
Yeah.
same kilowatts. They were all the same kilowatts, but the
Right.
brand name was different
Yeah,
and the model numbers were different.
the model numbers.
I believe so. I'll have to look. But it definitely wasn't the
well,
same,
every brand would have a different model number.
right?
Okay,
Did you
Well-
have some? Okay.
this is the longest sewer commission meeting I've ever chaired.
Oh, I've done it much longer.
Mhm.
It's bringing back good memories.
Paula, go back up just a little bit. Right there, hold on.
What are you looking at, Dave?
Just reading, I missed it the last time. She goes so fast. O&M consumables.
You want me to go, tell me when you want me to go down?
Go down a little bit, Paul. Right there, hold on. Markup of materials purchased to be both sufficient with pre-authorization. All right, so we're gonna give them $1,000 under. Is that still what you want to do? For the purchases, if we're gonna allow them to go up to $1,000, is that right?
I think so. I think it should be.
You think we should raise that to 1,500 now with the cost of everything to stop bothering the DPW director? Bill, your thoughts on that?
We can leave it at 1,000. That's okay.
Okay, Paul.
But we need you to fund us for informing the developers so that we get building support. So just change. the-
No, that's just the forms.
Yeah. No, looks good.
Can we go through it one more time?
I think we should do it at least
Sure.
twice.
Hey, there was a lot of work there. Good job, Paula. And Bill too.
Okay, so I guess the question would be, it'd be nice to be able to vote on this, but, because we need to get going.
Mhm.
You need a motion?
Well, there, a lot of changes were made and I have complete confidence in Paula's editing skills. And I would be comfortable with voting on this without reading a final copy, but, I'm only one person here.
What if we say approval, let Paula send out the new contract to all of us? We can look at it and say yay or nay on email. Can we do that?
No, you have to vote at a public meeting.
It has to be at a public meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess there might be, maybe there's a way of wording it based on the changes discussed.
Mhm.
And then if Paula sent a copy out as soon as she could, and we looked at it, and if there's, and we read it, and there's something in there that might not be what we thought it was, then we'd have to take an action at that point in time.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we approve it as is with the changes we'll approve it upon the chairman's review at the DPW. You can go and review it tomorrow. We know what it's gonna look like. The only thing
You're putting too much burden on the chairman.
I know.
I'm
Welcome.
okay with that.
I think it should be on anyone who doesn't have an office right now, holds an office. That would be Mike and Dave.
Wow, funny guy. I think we should go who doesn't have a full-time job.
But I
That
do,
would be you.
actually.
I think that if you, Paula prints it out, make the changes that we just went through on TV here. You get the hard copy, you just review the changes and we'll approve it now so Paula can get that out to.
Yeah, I'm comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Because I think you guys, I know Paula will get it out by 10 in the morning. You guys will have read it by 10:30.
Yeah,
I actually have meetings tomorrow morning, so I think we should vote on it tonight, though, Mr. Chair.
No, I totally agree. I just, Paula, get it out to us as soon as possible. And I think, we know where to focus to look at things that were changed tonight. And I know we would all let Paula know if something isn't quite what we thought. So do I have a motion?
You lost me. What are we doing?
We're voting on the changes. We're voting on the RFP with changes as discussed tonight.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I put a motion that we approve our RFP as discussed tonight with the changes as outlined with the DPW director and the business administrator.
Business manager.
Did I say manager?
No, you said,
Oh, God, I'm slow today.
either way, it's fine.
Yeah. But the only question I got before I finish, do you want to review it before they put it in the paper?
I would like to, but we have to put, we have to look at it as soon as Paula sends it out to us.
You're not answering the question. If it's going to be your approval, then we can put that in the motion.
Okay, I would prefer that more than just one person look at it, but
Okay, what about with the permission from the chair and vice chair?
sure. How do you feel about that, Brett?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So to
Make
finish
your
up the
motion,
motion,
Dave.
so to finish up the motion that we approve the changes as outlined tonight. And we're ready to approve that upon review by the chair and vice chair. Jane, you got all that? Want me to do it again?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jane.
Jane, they couldn't hear you.
Oh, Yeah, he's got to say it again because I've got too many versions here.
Yeah, let's give you the short version. Mr. Chair, put a motion out to approve the RFP as adjusted on tonight's meeting, to be sent out upon review of the document by the chair and vice chair.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
Hi,
Seeing-
Jane's husband.
Yeah, hi, Jane's husband.
Seeing no discussion, further discussion, let's take a vote. I'll go by what the order of the screen here. You guys have shifted a bit. Mike Knoll,
Aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and I for myself. So moved.
And Jane's husband, what does he say? I hope that's your husband, by the way.
Yes, it was, but I only have a little tiny screen, so he didn't know he was on screen.
That's okay.
Okay, the motion approved. Paula, for me, you know, I don't always see my email, so if when you send it out, if you could text me to let me know you sent it out, that
Sure,
way
I can text you both.
look at it as soon as possible.
Yep, I'll text you and Brett.
Okay. All right, well. Let's see here. What time is it?
8 o'clock.
Midnight.
7:57. We have 3 minutes to finish everything up here. All right. I think we do need to talk about the IMA with Leominster. So if I remember correctly, Dave and Mike, you wanted to be the team that interacts with Leominster for the IMA negotiations.
Mr. Chair, I recommend that we have Paula set up a meeting with Mike and I, and do we need our attorney there or someone from Melissa?
I think, yeah, I think if Paula could set up a meeting when the two of you are available. I don't know if our attorney needs to be there for the first meeting.
In the meantime, could Paula send out the IMA to Mike and I so we can see what we're talking about?
I did send it
Yeah,
already in the
you sent
last,
that out, yeah.
I sent it out a couple times.
Can you send it to me one more time? Because
I can send it out, I can send it out again.
I get 4,000 emails here. Sorry,
I can hand deliver one too.
you do that. You know where I live?
Yeah,
So a couple points on the IMA that I just want to make is I did reach out to Jacob Fleming to find out, you know, to just let them know that we want to start discussing it. He does want to determine who's going to be on the team for Leominster. There are a couple of things that they know they're going to want to address, and those two things as of right now are the charge for the connection per dwelling. Leominster is actually charging more than we are. They are charging $1,000 per dwelling, while they charge Lunenburg $750 per dwelling. So they're going to want to change that. The initial thoughts that they have would be to have the Lunenburg connection fee be $1,250. And they also want to address the fees, the rate structure. So those are the two key points they're going to want to address, is the connection fee and the rate structure. So that's the heads up that I've received so far. But I don't have the team names yet of who we're going to be meeting with, so I'll reach out to Jake and find out who that is. Are there any particular days that are better for you guys, or nights, or?
Just throw it out there now. I can work around the
Okay.
schedule. I mean, I know I've been very busy at work, so.
Okay.
But I guess the question is strategically on how we start this. And Bill, are you going to be part of that negotiation too? Is that a yes?
Dave, did you ask me?
Yes, Bill.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear my name.
With the
Um,
discretion of the DPW director, are you gonna be part of these negotiations too?
I can be, sure.
Yeah, okay. So let's look at that, Paula. Let Mike and I know, and Bill said he's gonna buy the coffee, so.
Hmm.
Thought it was a Bull Run.
Okay.
Okay, so we're all set with that.
Sure.
Paula, the assistant business manager position,
We've
or
done
or
three,
Bill, whichever.
we've done 3 interviews. We have one more this week. And I think we have a couple candidates that we think would be great in the role. But we don't have a final candidate yet.
Do any of them shine in particular?
Any of them what? I'm sorry?
Are there any shining lights among them? Shining stars?
Bill?
Hmm.
Too bad.
Yes and no, that each of them had, some really good qualities and then some stuff that would need work, so, yeah. Leave it at that.
Curious.
You guys are working on it, right?
Yes,
I think they're all shining stars. You just have to pick the right shining star.
There you go.
exactly. There you go.
Oh, how about that positive outlook? Love it.
Now, when you have your candidate, are you working with the personnel committee? Are you working with Julie, the assistant manager too?
Julie has been forwarding the applications, but there haven't been any, she hasn't attended the interviews.
She hasn't. in some of the-
Has not, no.
Good. I mean, yeah. Okay,
Okay, manhole funding, Bill, I'm sure that's a pretty quick response to that.
Yeah, so I looked up the rules for chapter 90 and I don't believe we can use chapter 90 funds for a sewer project. Especially, definitely not if we wanted to raise and level out the manholes on Route 2A, definitely can't use them there. You can't use chapter 90 funding, chapter 90 funding there. It's getting late.
It is. I apologize to all of you for holding it for so long. Okay, minutes from the March 21st meeting. Has everyone had a chance to read those? Are we ready to make a motion on those tonight?
Yes.
Is that a yes, you read them, or a yes, you're ready to make a motion on them?
Yes, on both for me.
Okay. Brett, you want to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for 3/21/23.
Anyone want to second that? It's
Mike.
only 2 of you.
In this case, it's
I wasn't there, so I'm gonna let Dave second.
oh, that's right, you weren't, I'm sorry. I missed that on the notes. I think you can still vote
I'll
on
vote.
You can still
You can
vote.
vote, yeah.
Yeah,
it. Mr. Chair, I second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none. Mike,
aye.
Brett,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
and I for myself. The minutes are accepted. Okay, we potentially have a lot to discuss. It's still on the agenda. So I think we need to make a decision. We have to do absolutely have to do the business manager's report. But I think we need to decide how far we want to dive into what was item 2, 3, and 4, which would be the budget, rate increases, capital planning. Paula has done an incredible amount of work diving into pretty much everything related to the budget. And it's all incredibly good information. So I don't know if we should, maybe Paula could give us a synopsis tonight. And we'll have to decide if we're going to push all of this to the next meeting, or do we have to have another meeting specifically to talk about some of these things?
Okay, so the synopsis on the fiscal 24 budget, and I do think you're gonna have to vote to revise that, is that Barbara had budgeted in a 4% increase for the city of Fitchburg. Fitchburg believes they're going to raise our rate 7%. So I had
Per
to.
year for the next
Per
5
year
years.
right, per year for the next 5 years. In looking at that, that obviously impacts our revenue. And so I needed to adjust this year's budget, which we had already approved, by an additional, I had to deduct $6,600. I had to add to Fitchburg usage. Our fringe benefits, because Barb retired, we are still responsible for her health insurance and her retiree benefits. So that's a cost of $8,631.53. So between those two numbers, we are short in the budget. So I had to take $15,231.53 from capital expenditures and plug those into the Fitchburg usage and the fringe benefit line item. So that is an adjusted budget. So our, additionally, one other thing, Barb didn't submit an article for the $8,000 transfer to one of the reserve funds. So we cannot do that. So our budget has changed. Our current year expenditures and indirect costs is $1,439,402.82. Our deficit is projected at $218,690.42. We are appropriating from retained earnings, $1,000 to OPEB, $36,621.37 to capital reserve. We have a deficit in our revenues. So our bottom line is we're looking to appropriate $419,718.07 from retained earnings rather than the prior number. So I believe that you guys have to vote on this revised budget. So I don't know if you want me to pull it up, Mr. Chair, or.
Yeah, why don't you pull it up? And I mean, I'm going to have to confess, I don't know how this kind of thing works with municipal government budgets. So I'm going to kind of seek advice from the more experienced people than myself.
What was published in the warrant, just so that you're aware, is the $419,718.07 in the warrant because of the changes that had to be made.
Right.
But the town manager does want a vote on it. So I'm just looking to pull it up here. Hold on.
So I would encourage to start that process and make sure that you're moving forward there. So that when this.
So, Mr. Chair, we have another 2 years of the retained earnings deficit that we've had. But I mean, I've been on the, Paula, just so everybody knows, what is the $419,000? Let's start there.
Well, that is money that we take from our retained earnings to supplement our budget. But I did send out a report today that talked about the sewer enterprise history. And it's interesting in looking at that. And from fiscal 16 through fiscal 22, we've actually had a surplus at the end of the year and actually put more money back into our retained earnings. I'll give you an example. In 2016, we projected taking we took $77,401 from retained earnings, but then we had a surplus of $231,879. So although we project taking it from retained earnings, the last 7 years, we've had a surplus at the end of the year. I will say this year that the expenditures are higher than normal. Because of change in personnel, increases in costs and increases in fees that we're paying to the cities.
Right.
So
But so people know at home, retained earnings is we're projecting a $400,000 loss to cover, because we don't have the monies yet. So you put the loss in there until we get the revenues. And that's all we're doing. We're balancing our budget. But like our history said, we always get the money back. Now, this year might be a little problem just because construction's not going on. There's not much expansion going on. But every year when we budget in a deficit, it's usually made up by the end of the year to a plus. Last year is a good example too. But you are going to see the trend happening over the next, was it 2026, when the curve starts to go back up? Because we're also paying debt services as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, but there is another caveat to that, and I wanted to talk about that, and it might be a bigger discussion than we want to get into tonight. I don't know why, but my connection to the server is not working, so I apologize. That is capital planning. I did ask Al to give me an idea of what we need over the next few years for capital planning. And quite frankly, I was shocked at the number. And I did send out a proposed capital plan. And that worksheet included Al's recommendation and then a proposal to spread the cost out over a number of years. And so that is projected, and there are numerous cranes that need to be replaced. There's numerous other upgrades that are needed. So I think we really need to start thinking about capital planning.
I think some of the biggest expenses were generator related, right, Paula?
Correct.
Okay.
So, and I did send that out. If everybody could review it, I don't think we should get into it tonight.
No, I don't think so. I think Paula has done an incredible amount of work in the last several weeks. Just changing things around, and it's all good, and we need to look at it. I just don't think we can do it tonight. So the question would be, do we want to pretty much make the next meeting a budget and capital expenditures meeting?
Yes.
Or have a special meeting? I don't think I want to try to insert a special meeting between now and the next meeting.
I don't see a special meeting for this, but the question I got, Mr. Chair, is, Paula, what is our reserve fund for the maintenance program? We've been putting money into maintenance.
You're asking what the balances are?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in retained earnings, we currently have $2,329,780. Reserve capacity, we have $28,023.32. In our I&I fund, we have $9,943.73. In capital reserves, we have $141,210.66. So those are our fund balances as of right now.
Okay, but we have an account that we set up for, I think we put $100,000. We funded it for maintenance, just maintenance, our maintenance repair program. We started.
We have a line item in our budget, but that might be what you're talking about.
Yes.
Right.
So our capital line item budget right now, and that's where I had to take that money from that I just talked about. So we had proposed in our initial approved budget, which was approved 3/21, we had proposed a $96,000 line item.
Yes.
In order to cover the shortfalls that I talked about, we need to take $15,231.53 from that line item.
Yep.
And we need to put $6,600. We need to put $6,600 into the Fitchburg usage line. And we need to put $8,631.53 into fringe benefits and health insurance.
So if you take a look at, and this will be a question for Bill, on and again, we set that up a few years ago to handle, and go back up, Paula, to the capital line.
Mm-hmm.
Before, there was no capital expenditures in the sewer division. I think, Mike, you and I put that in a few years ago, the capital expenditure part.
Yeah, yeah.
And out of that capital expenditure was to pay for a maintenance program or miscellaneous things. And that's why this was put in. So I feel comfortable that, Bill, have you used any more of that capital money of the $96,000 for anything else?
Well, we don't, this is for next year's.
What was last year's?
I can tell you what we have now. If I can just pull it out.
That should be carrying it forward. So if we didn't use that money, that
It
balance,
goes in, it doesn't carry forward. It goes into our, it goes into retained earnings at the end of the year if we don't use
Okay.
it.
well, I know we always put at least 100,000 into this budget. So I think what I'm saying, Paul, is I don't have a problem making sure that we pay Fitchburg the $6,000. That's kind of pennies to me, but I mean, $6,000 is still $6,000.
I don't know what it's-
But I don't know if you need town meeting approval for that. I think you just need a line item
We-
adjustment.
We need a vote of this budget as proposed for, so that.
Changes.
Going to be- Because it's going to be printed in the warrant.
But we missed the warrant article.
No, we've already put it in, so the town accountant. Bill and I worked on this together, we gave the town accountant the numbers, she put together a summary budget. Based on these numbers, so we're asking you to approve it. Post. Post, because we had to get it out. So Heather would like a vote of the commission. Approving these changes,
Change the $15,000+.
correct,
That's coming out of our capital expenditure.
Right.
correct.
Paul, why is there so if we go back up to that.
Go
Why does it say keep on going, where'd it go? No, the capital expenditure line.
Right here.
Why does it say-
96,000.
Why does it say ARPA?
Because originally Barb had done, I should take that out. Originally Barb had done the budget, putting in ARPA funds, and after talking with the town accountant, we decided to take those out because those are unknowns. So we have taken that out.
Okay. So just to review, Mr. Chair, the ARPA money we were talking about was made for sewer, water, stormwater, and believe it or not, cable for the town. That's all coming from the state. People are confused saying that we're double dipping on the ARPA money, but it's money given by the government to help pay for that. We took advantage of it per this town manager's requests.
Well, wait. When you say we took advantage of it, we submitted a request.
Right, we submitted a request for $300,000.
Right, which as of now, looks like we're not going to get, and town manager doesn't want us to include that in the budget.
Right, so I would take that out there.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
let
yeah, I
people-
will take it. Yeah, that's not in the summary budget.
Yeah.
That's not what that's not in the summary.
But I want to make it clear to people who are watching is that the ARPA money was made by the government and we were asked to put in our list, and that's what we did. That's why it's 300,000.
Right, and I'm sure a selectman or the town manager will correct me, but when the ARPA money first came out, I think there were 4 broad categories, one of which was sewer, water, and broadband.
Broadband, that was it, and stormwater.
Right. I don't remember stormwater, but then a year after the original money was allocated, the Treasury Department sort of changed things up. And any town that had received less than $10 million could use the money for anything they wanted,
Right.
other than debt service types of payments. So it changed. The original intent was to include sewer and water and broadband, but that changed. So
Like I said, I just want to make sure people understand that this money we were requested to put in forms wasn't because of a shortfall, because there is no shortfall. But
Right.
I just want to make sure it's clear.
right.
So the planned capital that we have this year, Dave, is 78, just over 78,000, and we've spent 15,000 of that money so far.
Okay.
But if we look at our capital plan after talking with Al, Al's recommendation, and I'm just gonna scoot down to the bottom, is that there is $35,000 worth of expenditures needed now, 96,000 the following year. And if you go out through all of the state through to 38, we're looking at $1 million. So he's looking at a significant amount of money every year on capital expenditures.
But Paul, when we set up the capital expenditure line, we said that we would take $100,000 a year out of every year, put it back into our systems. So we have that covered out of our retained earnings. We budgeted in at least $100,000, if I'm not
Well,
mistaken. Is that right? Jim? To cover this. So we are covered. It's just, I like your idea of doing a long range capital plan. Yes. we
Right.
should do that.
Because when we get down to the end and we look at the generators, we get to almost $1 million in capital that we need to spend. So I've sent out a proposal to do exactly what you just said, Dave, which is to spread it out over years,
Yes.
move some of the items up to keep it in the $100,000 range per year.
Yep.
So this is something I want to go over more in detail, and we can do that at the next meeting. I did send it out if people want to take a look, and this is just based on what we know we need.
Right.
So for this year, he's talking about, we need to replace some cranes, we need to replace some panels, et cetera. So I certainly have hope to utilize the capital money this year, but I want to project going out.
Right. I think the total came out to 1.2 million. Averaged out, it's 125 or $120,000 a year. So
One
Anyway.
thing we made was when Carl Luck was here. I mean, he was strongly for the maintenance program as well. And he talked us all into doing that, and that's where we set up these guidelines.
right.
Like I said, there was no capital expenditure line before. So
Yeah.
this works out good within our budgets, Paula. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I mean, we're running a business. Something may happen catastrophic along the way.
Right.
And we have to deal with that as it is, but we also know that the more money we put into maintenance, the better it is for all of us. And that's
Right.
why when Rob was here, we gave Rob the green light to go ahead and do it. And Bill is the new WAN leader, I guess, to take that over.
Right.
Okay.
The other quick thing is the rate increase with Fitchburg's proposed rate increase, potentially a rate increase in Leominster, and capital expenditures going up. We're going to have to seriously look at a rate increase. And I've put together a worksheet that I don't want to get into tonight, but that we can, look at different scenarios of, what the average, I did break down the average user cost per quarter. I also broke down the average user cost per business. So as we use this, I'll show you real quick. I'm not going to get into it, but as we plug in different numbers into this worksheet, we'll be able to see what our revenue looks like.
Yeah,
So
Paula,
right,
you sent that out to me. Did you send it out to the other commissioners?
I did in a printed form,
Okay.
but not in the spreadsheet, but I can certainly do that.
So would any of you be interested in getting it in a spreadsheet so you can play around with the numbers?
Yeah, if you could, that'd be good.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so if you just change the proposed increases up here into proposed rates, it will change all of the other numbers, so you can see what the impact is going to be. So the average bill per quarter for a residential unit right now is $181. A big thing that changed is we've always been saying we have 927 customers. You can't look at customers, you have to look at units, because for example, in Whalum, every one of those buildings is 24 units. They get one bill, but it's 24 users. So each family, if you break it down by units, which is 1,395, you can get the average bill. So the average bill per quarter for a residential unit is $181. The average bill for a commercial unit is $1,786.
So look, all of you now know what I meant when I said Paula has been doing an incredible amount of work with the budget. Thank you, Paula.
Oh, you're welcome. So I wanted to be able to forecast what's going to happen. So if you adjust these increased numbers, you'll see what that plays out to, what it leaves us for revenue. And right now, this is all projected on a 3% increase in Lemonster, but you can change that as well, and it will be reflected in all the other numbers. So I will send that out to you guys so that you can play with it and we can talk about it next meeting.
All right, in the meantime, I think we're still looking for a motion to amend the budget.
Yeah.
Am I right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I don't have the exact numbers. It's $15,000, 6,000 plus for Fitchburg, 8,000 for fringe benefits. So Paul, if you could give the specific numbers again so that someone can make a motion.
Yep. So let me just pull it up again because now I don't. So we are proposing to reduce capital expenditures to $80,768.47. Increase Fitchburg usage to $226,600. Increase fringe benefits and health insurance to $62,323.59. And we will not be transferring $8,000 from reserve capacity. So our anticipated draw on retained earnings is $419,718.07.
So let's see, can someone make a motion?
Mr. Chair, so moved.
Go ahead.
So
Based on the
moved.
numbers,
Yeah, so
based on
moved.
the numbers just read by Paula, okay.
Yep.
All right, so moved by Dave. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. I've lost my images. We'll go with Brett,
Aye.
Mike Nault,
Aye.
Dave McDonald,
I with a thank you to Paula. Good work.
You're
and
welcome.
I for myself, and yes, another thank you to Paula. The
I'd
motion,
like to second that. Thank you.
okay,
You're welcome.
Third then.
motion is so moved. So let's see, we still have the business manager's report.
Fiscal 23 update. I sent that all out to you guys just to give you a snapshot of where we are. I'm still working on finessing some of those numbers, so I will provide a more detailed update next meeting. Pump station maintenance, we did have to change the dialer at Meadowwoods. So that's been done. I'm looking for the pump station maintenance reports, which I was hoping I would have for tonight's meeting, which is why that was under my report, but I don't have them. Generator inspections, you guys all got the reports. Overall, the generators were in good shape. As was noted, they couldn't be tested under load. There were some recommendations to replace some of the block heaters. Al is reviewing that. He doesn't necessarily agree with replacing all of those block heaters, so that's a discussion he'll have with Bill. And the hoses that were found to be deficient have been replaced. So that is on the generator inspections, and that's all I have.
Okay, should we, I guess, should we set something up to test these under load?
Yeah, we could have Al do it on his regular time. Just you can drop the power out, make sure it transfers over and make sure the pumps start up and run. Yeah.
Right.
Let it run for 10-15 minutes, sure.
Okay, because I'm not sure when that might have last been done, so I think that would be
Yeah.
something.
My only comment would be this last storm, that it would kind of test all that. In other words, they all fired up, I'm assuming, when the power went out.
I don't think it was all the stations.
All of them? Okay.
No, I don't think it
All right.
was. Yeah, so we won't have to test the ones that.
Yeah, I
No,
mean, because
when
we
I was-
obviously know that
Mhm.
it worked under pressure, so.
Right, all right, so Bill, let's test the ones that
Good.
didn't get tested in the real world.
Yep.
Bill, I know I was out that night and the town of Lunenburg lost 2 legs out of 3. So I would say 70% of your pumps were working, especially over on Lancaster Ave and stuff.
I never missed a flush.
Me neither. Okay, so let's see here. Well, first, any action items for future meetings?
The only question I got, Mr. Chair, is did Paula, did you look into this Scooter case, the SLUT?
The SCADA.
SCADA, yes.
We did talk to Al about the SCADA and he does use it. And there is a program, he actually uses it quite a bit, is my understanding. He did tell us about an app that both Bill and I could access it. Which I didn't get the link. Bill, did you get a link?
I don't think we did, no.
Yeah, so, you know, we're both interested in looking into that more, but Al said it is functional and it is something he uses frequently. So we'll be hopefully getting that link and exploring it ourselves.
It's a pretty neat system. I remember Mike and I were watching it when we first installed it. It was pretty amazing. Mr. Chair, I know we talked about different avenues, looking about rates for sewer going to Fitchburg and Leominster. Again, our situation is that we're caught between Fitchburg and Leominster. Are we interested in looking into a possibility of somewhere else, our own wastewater treatment plant, something like that? I mean, we should explore all avenues.
Well, if we probably should. Because we are at the mercy of Fitchburg and Leominster. But I just would think, without knowing, that our own wastewater treatment plant would be hugely expensive. And I'm sure no one wants it in their backyard. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but it might be time to look at that, at least some, initial, something initial.
Or alternatives to keep the rates down. And my recommendation would be, and Bill, this might fall up your alley, is to talk with our engineers. How much would it cost to transfer everything from Fitchburg to Leominster? Would be one. How much would a treatment plant cost if we price it out over 30 years? Compared to what our rates are. I mean, I think it's time that we start, instead of saying like, okay, Fitchburg's rates going up, what can we do to help our customers to keep the costs under control? So it doesn't hurt to ask our engineers their thoughts on this as well. Technology has changed, so maybe we can do something.
Right. Okay. All
I'd
right.
like to put that on an action item if you could in the future.
Right. So then the items that we sort of breezed over were the FY24 budget, rate increase and capital planning. So I think our next regularly scheduled meeting will focus on those items.
We do have one appointment potentially for next meeting, but it should be fairly quick. It's a expansion of use and a connection at a property.
Is that the one that was originally scheduled for tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
that appointment. Yeah,
Okay. All right. I don't think that should take too long.
right.
Okay. Any public comment from the public? Seeing no public, any public comment from the staff or the commissioners?
Mr. Chair, I just want to thank Bill and Paula again for their input. I think this was a good meeting. I know we haven't had a long meeting for a while. And I know Mike and I are sitting there going like, oh geez, but this was well worth it. This was well worth it. So thank you guys.
And you all look more tired than I do.
A long day, my friend.
Okay. All right, I guess, do I have a motion for an adjournment? No one's jumping in? Okay, let's talk about the budget then.
Somebody make the motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Again, Brett, oh, by the way, Brett, good luck to you, by the way. Thank you. Second,
Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's
Yeah.
take a vote. Mike,
Aye at 8:32.
Brett,
Aye.
Dave?
I got 8:35.
I do too.
All right, I might oppose.
Different time
that.
zone, Gene.
All right, I for myself, thank you all. I never thought I would share this long of a meeting, but again, thank you all.
Yeah,
right, good
John,
night,
you did a good
everybody.
job. Thank you.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.